Hey there, it's Judd. Wanted to share my 5 tips for navigating developer dependence. So, when I'm talking about developer dependence, I'm talking about B2B marketers, really any marketers that work with web developers. They hate being dependent on a developer, particularly if the developer isn't responsive or is unclear when things are going to happen. So there's a bit of a helpless feeling when you're waiting on someone to get something back to you and you're trying to either an event is approaching or you've got a manager or the C-suite's on you for getting something out the door, or you've got an upcoming event and your developer's MIA. It's one of the number one things I hear when I'm out networking or when I'm at a conference talking to B2B marketers. So I put together a handful of tips here that hopefully will help smooth this process out. I've been on both sides of the equation, one as a developer for a long time, and then also as someone who's hired a lot of developers and subcontractors. So let's dive right into the list here and take a look. So, number one tip, plan in advance. So the reason most of this happens is a lack of communication, and there's a bit of a, oh, I thought you had it type of thing going on where you don't spell out specifically who's in charge of what and when. And what do I mean by this? Spell out how, what the communication channel is going to be. Are you going to send requests via email? Is it going to be in Slack? Is it going to be in a project management system? Is it going to be via a ticketing system? I tend to like a ticketing system, although it feels a bit formal. It allows you to do things like classify the requests. We'll get to that in a second. I don't want to jump ahead here. But planning in advance on the communication channel, what the expected response times are for the type of request. So if the site's down, who's going to jump in and fix it and how quickly? If it's something that needs to be posted, if it's a new feature, when is it going to be discussed or worked into the backlog or prioritized? So spell all of this out. And if you're working with an external developer or agency, if you have a maintenance agreement, that should all be spelled out in a good maintenance agreement. If you don't, you need to find out how much ad hoc or spontaneous requests are going to cost and how quickly they can make their way into the queue. A lot of agencies and developers are super busy, so you're not going to jump to the top of their list, or if you do, there may be rush fees involved. So the bottom line on that one is map out an agreement and spell out every little thing, even if it seems a little bit like over planning. It can save you in the future. The second thing I've got here is documenting the requests. So this is a little bit of a cover your ass move where you want to make sure you write these requests down, and it's not just, oh, remember when I told you this, or on our call I thought you were going to do this. Make it explicit. A ticketing system is good for this, which will also allow you to prioritize the request, whether it's urgent, non-urgent, and then also to classify it. Was this a bug report? Is this I want you to post a job or a new blog post, or maybe this is new functionality we're thinking of, or we want to change a phone number, whatever it is. Make sure it's documented, make sure it's written, and that will make it clear what was said when. There's timestamps and evidence of when things happened. It also protects the developer on the other side that, hey, I replied to you on this, or this was pushed at this date. So it just helps everyone stay accountable and takes out that he said, she said aspect of it. The other thing it's good for is you can look backwards and evaluate what types of requests there were. This is good for performance reviews if you're doing that type of thing on a quarterly basis. It's a good thing to evaluate your relationship with your vendor on whether you're getting what you need. And then also it helps you budget for the future. If you got flooded with requests and you underestimated how much time or money you were going to spend, it helps you figure that out going forward. So there's a few, that's kind of a secondary benefit of documenting everything. This one I'm a big fan of. And that's using video for asynchronous communication. So recording a video kind of similar to what you're seeing here, where I'm just pulled up my screen and I'm just kind of spontaneously recording and walking through something. There's so much to be said about verbal communication, about body language, about clarifying statements, and video is just a higher bandwidth way and a more natural way of doing this than I mentioned in the last one to document everything. Well, we've got video now. We can quickly record these. Doesn't matter your operating system, what type of computer you're on. It's very easy these days. The other thing we have now is the transcription services are phenomenal. AI has really made this a no-brainer. And then also we can generate summaries of what was in the transcript very easily. So there's really no excuse not to do this. The other thing it does is it respects the developer or agency's time and that they can fit this in. They may be doing deep work and programming half the day and then handling requests at another time. They may be overseas working different hours. It also makes it so it cuts down on the need for scheduled calls and meetings. So I think most developers, not all, but most prefer this way of working. And it's a way to maintain high bandwidth communication, but also that flexibility. Number 4, establish a shared vocabulary. This goes both ways. It's very easy for marketers to fall into their jargon. The example I used in the article I wrote about this is GTM can mean go to meeting. It can mean go to market. It can mean Google Tag Manager. There's a ton of slang and jargon that may just be everyday language for a marketer that isn't explicitly clear to a web developer, and vice versa. Establishing what we're talking about when we say a deployment or a build, or clarifying when you have questions and you don't, sometimes people feel like, oh, I don't want to ask them that and make it seem like I don't know what I'm talking about or I don't feel technical. Just get all of this out and ask any questions, and it should be establish a relationship that it goes both ways, and try and establish a shared language that you know what both sides are talking about when you refer to something. Don't make assumptions here. And number 5, this one seems unbelievably obvious, but make requests as early as possible. I don't mind when clients say, oh, I wanted to get something on your radar, and then it ends up being, I end up having 10 times more time than I really needed to get it done. That lets me know and start to gauge, and I let the client know if this is kind of a quick fix or if it's an unknown. But the way web development works and programming is that it can be a very unforgiving thing. And sometimes you don't know how long it's going to take, or things that seem easy are in fact very time consuming and laborious, or something that you might think is a major overhaul. There might be stuff already that can be repurposed, or it might be an easier ask. But if you get it out early, that allows the developer to do any research they may need to. It may allow them to bring in help if they need a helper or a second opinion on something. And it also helps. They may have other things on their schedule or in their queue, particularly if you're working with an agency, that they need to schedule things. So nobody likes surprises on either end. And this is really just keeping both sides on the same page. So the earlier you know of something, even if it's not fully fleshed out, let your developer know, and they can start to make time for it. They can start to research it. They can start to get their mind working on it and figure out what it's going to take to deliver that result. So those are my 5 tips for handling developer dependence. And I think if you implement some of these, you'll see that things happen a little bit quicker and a little bit smoother, and will help you deliver those fantastic web experiences for your end users. Hope you found this helpful. I'll see you on the next one.